So I haven't been talking for 8 weeks already. I've been to Hong Kong and China and Thailand doing work regarding Buddhism. If necessary, I can report to you what I have done. But anyway, today we concentrate on the lecture itself. Before I departed 8 weeks ago, and I've been talking on the 8 consciousnesses, and I got feedback that some people like the lecture, but then I can just remind you that this kind of lectures are quite advanced in Buddhist concept. If you're a beginner, probably you don't know what I'm talking about because it's a very advanced Buddhist psychology. And you really need a lot of basic concepts before you can absorb what I am going to talk about. But then, I know that how many newcomers are there? Still stay around? I don't know. Raise your hands if you're newcomers. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. So there's a few. So anyways, if you come for the first time, you spend your time in here, I want to make the time worthwhile for you. I don't want it to be boring for you, so I just want to simplify things for you, see how much you can absorb without sacrificing the time of those who have been here for a number of years. They already know the concepts, but let's bear simplification for now. So in my first lecture, this is the second lecture. In the first lecture, I've been talking about the 10 schools of Buddhism, the principles or the philosophy of Buddhism. In the beginning, Sakyamuni Buddha didn't categorize his teaching into 10 schools. It's just the later philosophers and later disciples, they want to split them into different categories so that it would be easier for some people who like certain philosophical concepts. In other words, coming to Richmond, there's not only just one road. There's so many roads coming to Richmond. Which road you take depends on where you live. Depends on whether you want a short drive, a long drive. So there's different, it's just like there's so many roads leading to Rome. The destination is one. But there's so many roads going over there. That's the reason why there are different schools of the Buddhist teaching. Now, this is what I talk about. The reality school, or the Abhidharma school, the Zatya Siddhi school, Cheng Shi Zhong, the Three Sastra school, San Lun Zhong, Tian Tai, Gatlin school, Chan Zhong, discipline school, Lü Zhong, esoteric school, Dhammalasana school, Fa Xiang Zhong, Yogacara school, and Pure Land school. I've been talking almost for 1 hour. Oh no, no more than 1 hour, maybe a couple of hours on each of these different schools. I'm not going to repeat them again. And actually, what I would concentrate on for the later sessions, could be 20, could be 15, could be 30, I don't know, it depends on how we absorb it. I will be talking on the Yogacara school, or the Fa Xiang Zhong. So we said that the Yogacara school, one of the schools, brought Mahayana thought to its full scope and completion. It itself is not a specific meditation practice, but is meant to be applied as a descriptive tool to understand situations of actions and intentions of all sentient beings and develop a philosophy that facilitates enlightenment. So in other words, the Yogacara school is not particularly tuned to meditation, but if you're a meditator, you need to know what is in there in order to practice well. Consciousness is awareness of a self. The fundamental doctrine of the Yogacara school is that all phenomenal existence is fabricated by consciousness. Consciousness is the basis of all activities from birth to attaining enlightenment. All is based upon distinctions in the mind. Consciousness, in making distinctions between self and other, becomes a subject which treats everything else as object. Consciousness itself is real. It exists as a series or streams of successive moments, momentary awareness of events, each immediately replaced by consciousness in the next moment. Consciousness has no substantiality and is dependent on the consciousness of the preceding instant. You probably don't know what we're talking about in here because you need certain basic concepts to understand it. So the Yogacara school is about consciousness. It's not about how to kneel, how to cross your leg, where to put your hands, and that kind. It's getting to the root of humanity, how your consciousness works. Because without understanding how consciousness works, how can you understand yourself? How can you understand the others? How can you understand the cosmic existence without understanding consciousness? So consciousness is a detailed study in one of the schools of Buddhism. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next few weeks. What is the objective of Yogacara? Yogacara says that all objects in the external world are just representation in our consciousness. All the objects, all phenomenal existence is without intrinsic nature. When we say without intrinsic nature, you have to understand what nature means. Therefore, the I is illusory and there is no self to be found. Everything is just a phenomena of consciousness. If somebody asks a question, which beginners always like to ask, how is the world created? How does the world come into being? Why all of us, why we have this world? And a simple answer, of course you really have to research into why. The world is created out of consciousness, not by God, out of consciousness. How, why, where, all these, we have to plow into it. We have to research into it in later sessions. It's easy to say everything is created by God. It's just like easy to say, Mom, at the kindergarten said, Mom, how do I come about? How is everything? You're created by God. It's a simple answer to a very complicated question. The whole world has been created out of consciousness. How? We have to get deeper into it. That's the purpose of studying Yogacara, or the consciousness-only school. So the final goal of the Yogacaras is the complete purification and transformation of consciousness into wisdom. To the Yogacaras, the purpose and goal of human life is to reach enlightenment. So purification and transformation of consciousness into wisdom. That's the very important sentence. How do we purify and transform our consciousness into wisdom? Our consciousness is tainted consciousness, polluted consciousness. How do we purify our polluted consciousness into enlightenment, into wisdom? That's the whole purpose, objective of Yogacara. And why do we need such a wisdom? What's the purpose of purifying and transforming our polluted consciousness into wisdom? Why do we need that wisdom? If you have that wisdom, you will understand the cosmos existence. You will understand yourself more. So Buddhism is, whatever you want to say, religion or philosophy or practice or daily life living, it is a way of getting wisdom, turning your polluted consciousness into wisdom. With that wisdom, we transform ourselves and liberate ourselves from samsara, life and death. And we have to go through life and death. Samsara, that word. S-A-M-S-A-R-A, samsara. You, me, all individuals, all existence are going through samsara. We are in samsara. Now, then, in order to understand samsara, now that we already have mentioned the objective of Yogacara, in order to understand samsara, why we're going through life and death, where is our position? Why did we come to this life? Where did we come from? Where are we going? And how many kinds of existence actually exist in cosmos, in the universe? We really have to know where our position is. Where are we now as human beings? And how many kinds of existence are there? So let's plow a little bit more into it. Cosmic existence. In cosmic existence, we say we have the 6 dwellings and the 4 stages. In other words, all existence, sentient being exists, they are either the 4 stages or in the 6 dwellings. We are here, human beings, we are the 6 dwellings. And these are out from samsara. In other words, the 6 dwellings are always, their lives are always subject to life and death. We live this life and then we die. We go on to the next life. We call it reincarnation. Who determines reincarnation? Is it God who determines to where you're going? No. You yourself determines where you go. Because you created in this life and in the previous life karma all by yourself. Of course, we have to talk about karma. Samsara, karma, and cosmic existence, these are the 3 things that you have to know in this session in order to carry to the next. If you don't know these, you can't carry on. If you don't know your own position, how do you know where you're going? You can't just say, God, take me to where you are. You have to understand what is God. God is just a word. The God is in you. Don't search for the God externally. The God is in you. That nature is in you. That polluted consciousness in you. If you turn the polluted consciousness into purification, you are God. Don't look for it anywhere. We want to understand more about this first. We are one of the 6 dwellings. So other than human beings, we have hell beings, animal beings, and departed spirits, those who died and stay in the spiritual, in the spirits or the ghost realm. We call it the ghost realm. So these 3 are the vicious realms, not good, vicious realms. Beings in hell, beings reincarnated as animals, and beings in the ghost realms. These are the 3 vicious realms. Why do they go to the 3 vicious realms? Is it because God ordered them to go? No. They created their own karma, and their karma carried them to go where they're going, according to causality. That you really have to know more. For beginners, you really have to know more why. In studying the Buddhist concept, it may gradually explain some of the puzzles and questions that have been hidden in your mind that you can't get an answers. Maybe you can get it from the Buddhist teaching. So open your mind. Receive what the Buddha has to say in the teaching and analyze it yourself. Don't just blindly believe in a faith. Analyze it, absorb it, open your mind, absorb it, and analyze it. So the Buddha said that there are the 3 vicious realms, and these are the 3 virtuous realms or non-vicious realms. Human beings, asuras, and heavenly beings. In other words, there are also beings in heaven who enjoy much more, who enjoy happiness than us. heavenly beings. In some other religions, the objective is just to go to heaven. If they can go to heaven, that's the ultimate place they want to go. The Buddha said heaven is not the ultimate place to go because you are still the six dwellings. Because when you enjoy millions of life in heavens, and when karmic energy pull you down, you go to other realms too. It's not ultimate. It's not the final place you have to go. You have to get out from the six dwellings. You have to get out from this line. You have to get out from samsara to go in there so that you get out of life and death. So these six are the six paths of reincarnations. If you Google into the six paths of reincarnations, they will give you those. The three vicious realms and the three virtuous realms. Why are some people in vicious realms? And why are some people in virtuous realms? Because of the karmic energy that they produce themselves. You have to listen more. You have to know more in order to know about it. The Buddhist teaching is you can't just make a judgment right at the beginning. You really have to gradually get into it and put all the things together and consider it as one aggregate. Don't just pass your opinion just on piecemeal information. You really have to get more and more and more into it. Now these are the four sages that are already out from life and death. You, me, all of us are subject to life and death. We died. Everybody has to die. Because you are creating your own karmic energy, that you are in samsara. These are the sages that through practice, through purification and transformation of consciousness, already have purified and transformed their political consciousness into Buddhahood, into pure consciousness. They are already out from life and death. That's the objective that we want to go. Because when you're in life and death, you always subject yourself to suffering. We are in sufferings. Everybody is in suffering. You, me. You cannot liberate yourself from suffering now. Do you know that all of us are suffering now? Do you know that we're actually unhappy? We're happy sometimes, but we're unhappy because life is not satisfactory. Life is not perfect. It's not satisfactory. We want to go to the perfection, then you have to go on to the sage's practice. You have to go to that position. Life is imperfect. Life is not satisfactory. Life is unhappy in many situations. Sometimes you may have the temporary happiness. You call it quote and unquote happiness. But if I ask you, if you always have the problems of aging, sickness, death, how can you be happy? If death is always not remote, it's always so close to you, how can you be happy? If aging is always waiting for you, sickness is always waiting for you, aging not only of yourself, of your relatives, of your family members, of your husband, of your wife, of your children, aging, sickness, death. If you're always confronted by those, how can you be happy? These people, these sages, they're already out. They're already liberated from all these sufferings. Because they are out from samsara. We are not. We are still in here. Do you want to choose that path to go to the four stages path where you don't have to subject yourself to sufferings? That's the objective of the Buddhist teaching. Not about prostration, not about worshiping, not about kneeling down, not about how to cross your leg, how to meditate. That's just the ways to get there. That's just the car you need to go to this temple from your home. That's just a tool. That's not a destination. You have to identify your destination, your objective in life. The Yogachaра's objective in life is to how to get to purification and transformation of one's polluted consciousness into purity so that they can be liberated forever from suffering. Do you want to choose that path, or you still want to subject yourself to life and death all the time for millions and millions of years? Do you know that you were not in this form in your previous life? You were John in this life. You're not John in your last life. You were a man in this life. You may be a woman in your previous life. And if you really created a lot of bad karma, you know where would you go to in your next life? Maybe in the animal realm, or in the hell's realm. Considering all those karmic energy that we produce, get onto the news every day, newspapers, get onto the internet. What kind of karmic energy people created? Violence, sex, murdering, cheating, forgery, fraudulent representations, hatred, greediness, jealousy, international wars, family strifes, murder, rapes. What kind of energy people are creating? You know. However, not always bad energy. Some people, some philanthropists are creating good energy. Those who are always making good deeds, those who are always rendering compassion and kindness to individuals, those who are practicing benevolence, they are creating good energy. But what's the ratio? How many are creating good energies and how many people are creating bad energy? Considering that, how many people are always in this vicious realms? And you see, there's a lot you need to talk about it just in here. Find out your position. Where are you now? Do you know where are you now? Where are we now? We are here, human beings. Human beings. These are called the 6 reincarnations. 6 paths of reincarnations. And just look at human beings. There's inequality just in that realm. How come some human beings are healthier than the others? How come are happier than the others? How come some people are prettier than the others, taller and shorter and fatter? And how come people are more successful and some are not successful? How come some people were born in a broken home and some people born in a rich family where they enjoy a lot of luxuries? And how come all these inequalities? Is it because of God? Because of your own mom and dad who brought you all those? Everyone is different. Because everybody's karmic energy one created is different. What you have been doing is different from John, from Jeanette. We're all different. Because everybody is creating different karma. The Buddha's teaching is teaching us how to purify our karma in such a way that we can be liberated from karma. Do you want to know more about the Buddha's teaching in the purification of one's karma? Not about blind faith, about transforming your own self. Well, there's a lot more to talk about on the causality of all these. What are the effects, the causes and effects of becoming each different categories? There's a lot more to talk about it. Suffice it to say that we are in reincarnations. And this is a world of imperfections, unhappiness. And we want to change it. We want to change our destiny. Don't you want to change your destiny? Don't you want to improve? Some people want to improve on outer appearance. You know what most people like to improve on? I want to get more money, I want to get more reputation, I want to get a good job, a family, a luxury home in Shaughnessy. I want to get all the luxuries in the world so that I can be recognized as one, as someone who's successful. They want to measure their their performance in such a way. Other sages, you know how they measure? They measure performance in the purification and transformation of self, not of luxuries, of the spirituality of oneself. People put the wrong emphasis. Most of us put the wrong emphasis on life. And in the process of looking for more luxuries, they create bad karma. I always use a candle to compare life. You know a candle? A little candle? Every one of us is a candle. A candle burns and gives out flame. A candle gives out energy. A candle gives out brightness. But in the process of burning that candle yourself, eye drops come out. The wax drops. So in other words, you're giving out light and at the same time you're reducing your own life. Because once you're burning it, you're also reducing your lifespan. So every candle, we say, in the process of giving out light, also diminishing itself. And everybody wants to burn that, to increase that flame, the magnitude of that brightness. Some people measure the magnitude of that brightness in fame and reputation and wealth. But the Buddha said that brightness is not determined by that. That brightness is determined by how you purify yourself. That consciousness, that purification, gives out light much brighter than just fame and reputation. There was a story at the time of the Buddha. At the time of the Buddha, there are many rich merchants like to donate lamps and lanterns to glorify the temple, to brighten up the temple, to glorify the Buddha. They always donate lanterns and huge candles and lamps and all that. Cost a lot of money. They want big ones, bright ones. And there was one poor girl she lived on begging. One day, she thought to herself, the reason why I'm a beggar now is because maybe my karmic energy that I created in my previous life make me become a beggar. I want to transform myself. But I want to indicate that transformation, my earnestness, by I want to donate something to the Buddha. I want to glorify the Buddha because the Buddha has been giving us ways for liberation. I want to glorify that. I want to donate a lamp. But she has no money. She had no money. So she sold her last possessions for a penny. And she used this penny to buy a candle to donate it to the Buddha. And when she was kneeling down in front of the Buddha, she made a prayer. Buddha, receive my lamp. I'm a beggar now because of what I've done in the past. I want to purify myself. I want to improve my spirituality. I want to donate this with the deepest devotion because you give us ways for liberation. So she gave a lot of devotion to that little candle. And she put it in front of the Buddha. And Alanda is responsible for touring all the candles to make sure that they don't become a dangerous fire hazard at nighttime. So almost at about midnight, so Alanda has been touring around, and all those lanterns donated by merchants and big lanterns and lamps, the fire were getting weaker and weaker and weaker until they all extinguished. No more fire, no more brightness. But Alanda saw this little candle still burning. The light is so bright that it's brighter than all those lanterns added together. And he found it to be so mystical. How come that happened? The little candle didn't give out that much light. So he asked the Buddha. The Buddha said that candle was donated with the deepest and the utmost devotion from the begging girl. So all of us is a candle. We're burning, we give out light. Giving out light is not to make more money, but the spirituality that you created in yourself. Try to get the emancipation, liberate yourself from samsara. That's light giving. You know how much light the Buddha gave? The Buddha was a prince, Prince Gautama. He practiced and practiced through ascetic practices and become the Buddha. And since he became the Buddha, how much light he gave out? He gave out the light for the enlightenment of millions and millions of individuals since 2,600 years ago. He helped a lot of sentient beings liberated from samsara into nirvana because of his teaching. He gave out the light. He didn't give out the luxuries. His light is not in the pursuit of materialism, materialistic pursuit. No. His light is giving out in self-practice and giving out the light, giving out the compassion, and giving out the teaching to all sentient beings for their liberations. That's the candle. You are a candle. How do you burn this light? Depends on yourself. Practicing purification, transformation is real burning. Giving out a lot of light. Because in the process of purification and transformation, if you become the Buddha, once you become the Buddha, a lot of other sentient beings will be enlightened. How many sentient beings were enlightened since the Buddha introduced his teaching? Immeasurable. He burned that light. He lightened up the whole universe. You have that light in you. You can lighten up the whole universe. Don't consider yourself as just a light of getting luxuries, a light of self-glorification. It's the light of giving out. Burn that candle in you. We know that every day you're burning it out. The eye drops, the wax drops drop onto the dish. But then you're giving out the light. I am that little candle. I want to learn how to give out that light, not just to my neighboring sentient being, to the whole universe, like the Buddha. You can be doing the same thing. Some people say the light is determined by how successful you are as a human being. If you're a business tycoon, you have billions of dollars, your light is very bright. No, it's not measured by how much money you have. It's measured by your benevolence to sentient beings, to all sentient beings, like the Buddha. You don't need money to burn that light. You need a mind to burn that light. It doesn't cost you a penny. Don't think that you have to drive a good car to give out that light. Don't think that you have to build a hospital to give up that light. Building a hospital probably would have a lot of people, but it's still a light. It's a light to benefit others, but there's a much brighter light in it. You have the qualifications, have that nature to burn that light. Do you want to do it in this life, or you want to still carry to the next life, carry your reincarnation to the next life? We are a candle, every one of us. Brighten up the world. Of course, you're burning yourself, but it's worth it.